Among Us in 2024 is crazy. Today's video is a different type of video. It isn't a what if or any type of anime content video. This video is about Among Us. If you're unfamiliar, let me give you a little context to the game. Among Us, written on paper, can be described as a murder mystery game which takes place in a space-themed setting, where players each take on 1 to 2 roles, most being crewmates and a predetermined number being imposters. The main goal of the crewmates is to either complete all the tasks in time or discover the imposters before they are all killed. Pretty simple, right? Well, unfortunately not, because there is more to this game than just you did it or he did it. It has a lot of complexities and game mechanics that make the game not only enjoyable, but as well as intriguing. So today I'll be taking an introspective look into the mind of Among Us, and also where is it today in 2024? Released on June 15th, 2018 by the game studio known as Introspective, the same studio that published the Henry Stickmin collection, another game that has been very popular lately, especially to the gaming community. Among Us was never intended to be as popular as it soon did become 2 years later. As seen on itch.io in this article, The Future of Among Us, Puffball United had this to say. Hey everyone, Puzzball United here. It's been a very exciting time for us for the past few months. We've loved seeing everybody enjoying Among Us. Forte has been working very hard to get the servers adjusted to dealing with the huge influx of players. Thank you so much for bearing with us through these growing pains. However, seeing how many people are playing Among Us 1 makes us want to be able to support the game and take it to the next level. We have decided to cancel Among Us 2 and instead put all of our focus into improving Among Us 1. All the content we have planned for Among Us 2 will instead go to Among Us 1. This is probably the most difficult choice because it means going deep into the core code of the game, and we're working several parts of it. We have a lot of things planned and we're excited to bring new content to everyone as you continue to enjoy playing. Using this as evidence, I can conclude that the studio never intended on it being as popular as it did, and that the game was originally designed for small groups of people, not the worldwide phenomenon of people that it did. This state of mind can be contributed due to the amount of players they had back in the day when the game first released, as well as due to the low budget that they received, that they couldn't get the game to a wider audience. More evidence showing that this game was never intended to be popular would be their replans to cancel Among Us 2 due to its prequel's popularity. Another article proving this is on the site Engadget.com. On the article, Among Us developers cancel sequel plans and focus on their new old smash hit. In paragraph 2, it says, just a month ago, the developers announced Among Us 2, noting that it's been crazy to see how much more popular Among Us could be than we ever imagined. Now, the folks at Introspective had changed course again, as a strong support for their $5 game has pushed the developers to cancel the sequel and instead put all their focus into improving Among Us 1, meaning that their launch on Steam could have been a very huge impact to its success. The paragraph raises a bunch of questions from me, like if the game didn't become this successful, would it have been thrown in the trash? And my guess is yes, because if they don't care for scrapping its sequel, then most likely the game was in super early stages. Also, in an interview with Forrest Willard, he says, we stuck with Among Us a lot longer than we probably should have. For a pure business standpoint, we tried to quit and should have quit several times. Proving my point in the scenario that if the game didn't fluctuate in players, it would have just been forgotten and they would have been on to the next. Now, if I were them, I would have just made the sequel. Now that we're done with speculations and basically how it came to be, now we're on to how it rose to fame and popularity, and let's get into it. When I say hip-hop, you say... The one site that I can say encouraged a fluctuation in players and popularity would be a small site called YouTube. Which YouTube, in my opinion, has the biggest impact on the game. And unless you live under a rock, you should know that most gamers that get popular are usually on the site known as YouTube or Twitch. But mainly YouTube. And YouTube is also a good opportunity to promote games and promote mobile games and different games that I can name several companies that have gotten popular because of YouTube trends. Scott Coffin, the Welcome to the Game dev, creator Adam, the Puppet Combo creator, they all got popular or famous because the amount of promotion they got from gamers. And so the gaming community had a very huge impact, and is the reason why the promotion to this game on YouTube is so massive. And now, since we are done talking about how it got popular and the devs plan for it, it's time we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, the game mechanics. Why the fuck is you back on the block? I kill an op double back with the Glock. You niggas fried, but you act. The game is not original. The mechanics in this game have been done several times in other games, including games like Deceit and Secret Neighbor. I'm not gonna lie, the best gaming mechanic in Among Us is a chat feature. Like the chat was really like innovative for the time it came out. And like the fact that the people who were alive and the people who were dead had different chats, it was like, so you couldn't discuss who the imposter was, makes the game more fair and realistic. Also, this is one of the first games to do that. But like, imagine if you could chat whenever you wanted to. Like, just imagine if you could like see the dead people type in chat, and then it would suck to be an imposter as well. So it makes the imposter mechanic better. Like, people would pray to be the imposter because, you know, it'd be funnier to move around and you can't do anything once you're in the dead chat. Aside from the chat mechanics, the game also includes traditional move around controls, WASD, as well as space puzzles that need to be solved in order to save the ship from being sabotaged by the imposter. There's 2 ways to win the game as a non-imposter character. The 2 ways, as I said before, is getting the ship up and running before everyone is killed, or by throwing the imposter off deck. And you can do that via the vote system at the end of the game. The imposter is a little more simpler. Their essential goal is to throw off their ascent and basically to sabotage your progress until the ship is no longer stable. There can be up to 2 imposters, and honestly, it's quite satisfying to not get caught as an imposter. I'm not gonna lie. Now that I've fully explained the mechanics, how is Among Us doing today in 2024? In 2024, after its rise in 2020, well, I can't really say Among Us is a household name like it used to be. It's just not played much anymore due to it not generating views, and the memes and gameplay have slowed down completely, no longer receiving as much support as the game used to get. But why? Well, my belief is that more games came out. Games like Lethal Company have spread its influence and became much more popular for the time being now than anything. But sadly, even that game might not be popular for much longer. It's a cycle of games, and sometimes you just can't stop it. But you can still enjoy gameplay of it, and you can still play it if you want. Others' opinions shouldn't stop your enjoyment from the game. And honestly, if you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe or not. I had this in the vault for a while, and I couldn't let it go to waste. This was very well written, and if you guys believe that, run this up, bro.